Hey, football fans, welcome back to another episode of Lions Latest, the show where we gather around and talk about the greatest team in the NFL, the Detroit Lions. I'm your host, Bryan Hanes, and we have some new interesting topics and some stuff to look ahead to talk about. So let's jump into the video. But beforehand, if you guys are here enjoying the content and you're not already, please go down and subscribe. We've hit 1,000. We're moving on to our next milestone. I'd love for all of you guys to be here for that ride and be here to hear new stuff about the Lions every day. So thank you so much if you are. If you haven't, make sure you go down there and do that. Let's jump into this video. We're starting with the playoffs. What the picture's looking like. We kind of fell out of the playoffs last week. Now we're looking to get back in it, and I don't think it's totally out of the question for us to be back in a good playoff situation. And the Lions have claimed that they're not even worried about making the playoffs. Winning the NFC North is still not out of reach, but first, there are performance issues that have to be corrected. There are still 7 games left in the regular season, including division games against the Bears, the Vikings, and the Packers. So we can get our licks back in our division, get back to where we need. We have a half game over the Bears. The Vikings have a half game over us, but they are still last in the division, so not as worried. And I think recently the Packers, since they've struggled with injuries and just kind of offensive play in general, a great deal can happen, right? We still have a great deal of changes that can be made in the 7 games we have left. Some models actually still give the Lions 75% chance of winning the division, which would secure them a playoff spot altogether. We really just need to get ahead of the 49ers in the wild card spot to be safe first. And again, I think that's very doable. Campbell isn't worried about the playoffs. Instead, he's actually chosen to talk to the media and focus about the game against the Giants, since we are just taking it 1 week at a time as of now. Detroit is a team that performs best actually against the wall. Campbell's job is really just to rally the troops right now, correct problems, and move forward. Things he's extremely good at as being a player's coach. His team, let's be honest, hasn't lost 2 consecutive games since 2022. And I feel like we've had these tough games, and now we kind of go into these easier games, right? Nothing's easy in the NFL, but we're going into games that are, less stacked teams, and I think this is a chance for us to kind of continue that trend. He said, quote, "Focus on what we need to correct and what cost us the game. There's a reason why everything happened the way it happened. Let's make the corrections. Let's go back to work this week, and let's get better, and let's play better football next week." That's what Dan Campbell had to say just about what was happening. He didn't want to talk about the future, like the far future. He just wants to focus on what's happening this week because, in his words, basically, if you start to freak out and think too much about what's going to happen later down the road, you're going to lose track of what you're actually focusing on in the moment. In each of the previous losses, our team has actually come back stronger than the previous week in a resounding win. After losing to the Packers in week 1, remember, we roared back, scoring 52 points against the Bears. After losing to the Chiefs, the Lions bounced back with a huge win over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who were at the time the best team in the NFC with MVP caliber Baker Mayfield, which we really haven't seen after that game. And after losing to the Vikings in week 9, it really motivated our team to go back and put up 44 points against the Commanders. And I think that was one of the biggest turnarounds we've had this season, just because we knew we shouldn't have lost to the Vikings. A lot of players came out saying that it was just a nonsense loss. And for now, Philadelphia is history for us. Set it aside, get back to work, fix those mistakes and the issues to move forward. After the game, Goff even said, quote, "It sucks, it stings. You want to come out here and play well and beat a really good team and be able to have all kinds of hallmark win in the middle of the season, but we didn't get it done. Got to move on. Got to find a way to win next week. A decisive win against the Giants will help the team regain momentum." And I think he's absolutely correct there. I think if they go in and prove that they are still this team that a lot of people have just doubted them after the loss to the Eagles. Guys, you got to remember, it's not like the Eagles were just a rollover team, right? I think this could get our momentum back on track. Absolutely. The Giants aren't a terrible team, but they aren't a fantastic team. And I think that puts us in a position to really, fix those mistakes, stick to an easier game plan, and just go play good football. I think what we need right now as a team is just good football. But that's what I have on that. I think our playoff chance, obviously, like I said, it's still very real. The first step is getting back on the tracks and just continuing to do what we know we're good at, and we're just going to have to see how well we apply that against the Giants. That'll take us to our second topic. So, now, there's things we can fix right now, but, we've discussed a lot of, new recruits, getting new recruits via the draft on this show in the past. And I finally brought up some more guys to discuss on who would be good to plug in. I think because of injuries and some of our older stars that are starting to go, we've noticed positions that need filling, and that's particularly in the O-line and the D-line. Corner is another big topic of discussion, but I think with how the Legion of Whom is performing right now, these are some we should really be focusing on in particular. Because of our money we spent on Hutch, grabbing an established star and defensive end next to him is kind of impossible. Players like Trey Hendrickson would be asking way too much than we're willing to pay. And while the guys opposite to Hutch are doing well right now, Al Qadim Muhammad, we are really just looking for a long-term solution that we can keep on a rookie contract for a while. Because if you're right. I mean, you guys are probably yelling at me in the comments right now. Yeah, Al Qadim Muhammad's been great. Some of the serviceable guys have been great. But when players start to get great, they start asking for contract extensions, and it's just not one of those positions I feel like we're willing to do right now because of all the other guys we still need to pay. I think getting a guy in a rookie contract just to have him here for the next 4 years is really what the Lions are looking to do, and it's kind of been the philosophy of Dan Campbell and Brad Holmes so far. The 2026 NFL draft is where actually the Lions are the most active, just any draft in general. During the 2025 draft, remember we traded that year's third-round pick and our two 2026 third-round picks to Jacksonville in exchange for Tesla. In that trade, the Lions also acquired the Browns' sixth-round pick, which was held by the Jags at that time. The second 2026 third-round pick traded away was then awarded to the Lions for former defensive coordinator Aaron Glenn being hired as the Jets head coach. So now, we're out with that. We're out the third round pick, but we have a good number of picks to still work with, and I think this is who we need to start targeting. For defensive end, I looked at Miami's Ruben Bain, and I think he could be a huge answer for us. He made a big splash in 2023, earning ACC Defensive Rookie of the Year honors with 12.5 tackles for loss and 7.5 sacks. Not a bad stat line. However, in 2024, he was a bit of a disappointment, to be honest. He battled injuries throughout the year, so it's not really one of those things where it's his decline or it's his fault. I think he was just dealing with a bad season. It happens. Still at 275 pounds, Bain fits the mold for what that bigger physical edge rusher that Dan Campbell likes, like Marcus Davenport. He could be the replacement with that and I know a lot of you fans would really appreciate. He shows explosive burst off the ball, and if he can return to his form in 2025, he has the very, very good potential to be one of the top defensive ends in his class. And even if he doesn't, I think he could be one of those steals in the draft overall. He's got explosiveness off the line, power that overwhelms blockers, and relentless pursuit, which is always a good quality when you have a tackler who's going to finish the play every single time. He's also super versatile. He can rush for various assignments, and we could throw him around, maybe confuse offenses. He has strong technical skills, demonstrates excellent instincts as a run defender, which is another plus. I think he's a great opposite to Hutch, and adds to our very already good run defense, while also being a very, very good quarterback tackler if you go and watch his tape. He's a great versatile player, and I think that's just one of those big words, versatility, that we like to have on our defense, because that's kind of the people we've been targeting in the last few years. I think this guy would be really cool. I encourage you to go watch his tape and see how you think he would fit on the Lions defensive line. Now for the other side, I'm focusing more on a guard. I know we need someone to replace Decker. I know that's a big thing, but with some of the guard situation being weird with us right now, Mahogany being out, and we're moving guys around. Our center right now is a previous guard. We might actually want to look for a center in the offseason, because I don't know if you want a center straight out of college who isn't like the guy, right? So maybe we focus on that. Maybe some of our older guys move out, but I think another guard would be really good, but a guard that can play all over the line. So even after drafting Tate Ratledge in the second round this year, I think the Lions will still go to get someone in the line, obviously after what we've seen. Texas A&M's Armaj Reed Adams carries a day 2 grade and could eventually replace Graham Glasgow if we needed him to. A big, powerful run blocker. Keyword on run blocker. Reed Adams fits the identity of Detroit's smash mouth running offensive line. Adams' strengths include elite run blocking, his physicality, his leadership on and off the field, making him a formidable interior offensive lineman. His power is evident in his heavy hands, strong drive blocks, and ability to stun defenders. He also shows surprising agility when pulling, excellent body control, and an improved pass protection technique. He has struggled with penalties in the past. That is like his downside, but I feel like that's one of those coachable things. It's not something that can't be fixed, and to me, that's one of the best downsides you can have. Now, there's been a lot of hate, there's been a lot of criticism on the run game this year and how it's been a lot slower, and a lot of the fingers have been pointing to the O-line, and I don't want to say it's all true, it's all the O-line's fault, but it definitely starts at the line of scrimmage. I think grabbing another guy who's good at run blocking would be fantastic and would be doing what we need right now. He also just kind of sounds like a Penny Sewell type. Fast, gets into that secondary, super aggressive when he blocks, right? That strikes me as now we have the tackle. Now we need the guard who can do that. And all of a sudden, we're just pushing through and separating guys super easily. I think this would be a really, really great pickup. And it sounds like he fits the kind of vibe we want going on in Detroit's trenches right now. So let me know what you guys think about those two players. Do a little research if you want. If not, tell me two guys you guys that you think would be better for us to go target. It's going to take us to our third topic. Now, Jared Goff. A lot of hate about on Jared Goff recently, and let's talk about it. So a lot of people have been quick to point fingers at Goff, and I think they'd be best to look at the real numbers and do a little research before making a whole decision based off of one game. Following the loss to the Eagles, social media was lit up with comments from Lions loyalists who were putting the blame on anyone and everyone, but Jared Goff got the brunt and Jared Goff got the worst of it. You guys know what I'm trying to say. So which is weird because let's talk about it. The big thing were sacks, not making good throws, not being mobile, and so what is it? Well, first of all, mobile guys right now are actually getting sacked more than anybody. It's kind of a weird stat. You can go look it up. It's true though. He's also Jared Goff also has a higher completion percentage under pressure than guys like Matthew Stafford, Patrick Mahomes, and Jordan Love, and the 8th highest passer rating. So he's not perfect, but he's not terrible by any means, and that's what people are trying to say right now. For those who say Goff isn't good in bad weather, another thing that was being brought up during the Eagles game, let's just look at the fact that the signal caller has thrown for 15 touchdowns and 4 interceptions in cold weather as a Detroit Lions player. He's also completed 64% of his passes in those games. So, again, Jerry Two Gloves is known to cook in the weather. It doesn't happen every time. We saw definitely some shortcomings against the Eagles, but again, it's one game, and we can't just make our whole opinion based off of one game on somebody. I don't think that's really fair to Jared Goff. I think sometimes emotions dictate your beliefs. I think that happened with me right after the game. It took me a little bit to calm down, actually look at the game overall. I'm sure a lot of fans are still just dead set on the fact that maybe Jared Goff isn't the guy. But I'd encourage you to go and look back on the previous years we've had him. Jared Goff had a bad game on Sunday. There's no doubt about it. But you're crazy if you think this happens all the time. And you're even crazier if you think we need to just boot him right now. I think that's an insane thing that people are saying right now. It's nuts. But a lot of angry fans want him out. You got to remember that the turnaround on offense he created and the way he continues to produce is such a huge, huge upside in a quarterback. And we have him. I mean, it's good that we have a quarterback like that who, despite all the things going wrong, just continues to improve. And all we've seen is improvement from Jared Goff over the years. Goff has changed the Lions by providing a stable and effective quarterback presence, right? Leading the team to significant success, including an NFC Championship game appearance, shifting the offense towards a more precise, high-powered attack. I mean, the offense probably wouldn't be as good as they were without a guy like Jared Goff. Now, you could argue that, well, with the receivers and the running backs and the tight ends we have on the field, any quarterback could go in and do it. Jared Goff's a system quarterback, and I disagree wholeheartedly with that statement. I think the way Jared Goff plays in the pocket and his ball knowledge and the fact that he was a vet coming into our team, it made all the difference for our offensive unit as a whole. He helping to turn the team's narrative from a struggling one into a contender. Last year, he passed for 4,629 yards, 37 touchdowns, and 12 interceptions. Not a bad rate. This year, he's already at 2,490 yards, 21 touchdowns, and only 4 interceptions. So there are takeaways that Jared Goff is still improving this season. Taking care of the ball better, passing effectively, putting the ball in his playmakers' hands to get touchdowns. That's what we know Jared Goff can do. But he's gotten better at not throwing the picks, not forcing plays, something Jared Goff's really good at. Don't let one game change your opinion on Goff, guys. It was an important game nonetheless. But remember that the defense we were playing was just nearly as elite as the offense we have, and we were in their house, right? I don't want to make any excuses for the Lions because I think that was a game we could have absolutely ran away with, especially the way our defense was playing. But I don't think putting all the blame on Jared Goff and saying that he needs to get out of Detroit now is an acceptable thing to say. I mean, we've seen worse losses, guys, and we've seen more important games lost. And the whole thing wasn't we need to get rid of Jared Goff. I think this has just been a rocky season, change with coaches, and everyone's putting the blame on the guy we see every play on offense. It just is what it is. But I think we're going to continue to see great things from him. And I'm, like we said in the previous topic, I think this game against the Giants is going to say a lot about his resiliency and his way to bounce back in games. That'll take us to our fourth topic. You guys can let me know what you think about that. Just some comments, starting with Azif Chowdhury. I think that's how you say it. I remember you left me a comment telling me how to pronounce it. I apologize if that was still wrong. They say, still have faith. It was a cold day with the rejuvenated Eagles defense. I see the Lions running the rest of the table. The hardest game will be the Rams. That last soft DPI basically killed it. Giants next, then Packers, Rams, Vikings, and Bears. All winnable games. I think you say it perfectly here. That kind of leads perfectly off of what I just said about Goff. Yeah, we're playing a really tough defense in their house. And I think the Rams are going to be another big tester game. But if we can come away with that one, that'll be kind of the turnaround for us. That will be the game that says, okay, we had some bumps this year, but we are still the Lions offense, you guys know. And I think the rest of these games, like you say, are winnable and can put us back into a position where fans aren't screaming at Jared Goff. Appreciate your comment. Thank you so much. Finally, Brent DeWitt says, Giants front four is legit, but somewhat underperforming considering all the first round picks on their D-line. Expecting them to try to copy the Eagles, concentrating on our inferior inner O-line. Hope MCDC and Hank Fraley can scheme up better protection for Goff this game. And I think that's what it's going to have to be, right? Plan around it, plan better, know what they're going to want to do to us before that happens. And I think the Eagles, especially after they put on tape how to expose Goff in that interior line spot with the batted down passes and all that, this will definitely be something that's being coached this week, at least I'd hope. And if we can go and show that we did improve from that, it's just showing that we aren't stupid, that we're not stuck in a rut. We're just having these little mistakes. And I think this whole season has shown that the Lions, especially Dan Campbell, can clean up little mistakes like that and have us bounce back. So, yeah, I totally agree with you. And, yeah, the front four is legit. But like you said, they're kind of underperforming, which is odd. For a point in the season, I actually forgot they drafted Abdul Carter because I don't think I've heard his name that often, if at all. So, yeah. Great comment, great point. Hopefully we prepare for that. Thank you so much for your comment. With that being said, we're out of time today on this episode of Lions Latest. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it to this point in the video, tell me what your opinions on Jared Goff are, and if you really think he should be out and why. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell so you never miss a single video here. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video.